Welcome back to the Dark Muse podcast. Today, before we dive in, I want to take you on a little unexpected journey to set up the mood. So please close your eyes and connect with your body. Take a few deep breaths in and out. Arrive at the moment in time where you are listening to this podcast. Disconnect from everything that has been happening today. Your work, your errands, conversations that you had with your friends, co-workers, or family. Leave it all behind. One more deep inhale and exhale. While keeping your eyes closed, visualize a very beautiful island far, far away. You can see the blue water, clear sky, beautiful flowers and trees everywhere. And in the middle of this island, there is a beautiful castle that goes all the way to the sky. You walk in and you find yourself in a big hallway. And in the end of this hallway, you see a magical, beautiful throne made of flowers. You walk towards that throne and you see mesmerizing goddess. She has long blonde hair. She's wearing a silk robe covering her elbows and her knees. And she's sitting there in a meditation pose. She welcomes you in. She is the goddess of this kingdom. But it's not a simple kingdom. It is kingdom of milk chocolate. Milk chocolate is considered a sacred food in this kingdom. And everyone respects it the way they respect their goddess, the goddess of milk chocolate. As a next step, we are going to taste that magical milk chocolate. You can open your eyes and I'm going to explain to you how exactly we're going to do it. On top of what you just visualized, you will pretend like you're actually eating that chocolate by making the movements with your hands to open the packaging. Get a piece of this chocolate. Hold it in your hand. Smell it. Then put it in your mouth and taste it. And then slowly you're going to chew and swallow that chocolate. And we're going to do this together. Imagine you are back with a milk chocolate goddess and she's handing you over a package of chocolate. So you take it, you open the packaging, you break a piece of a chocolate bar, you take it in your hand, and you smell it. Feel it, imagine it. Now you're going to place that chocolate in your mouth. Feel the flavor on your tongue. Feel the chocolate melting. You can chew it. It is so delicious. It tastes like magic. Feel like this chocolate is spreading the magic throughout your body. Let's take one final inhale together. And release. How are you feeling now? I bet it's very different from what you felt like before you turned on this episode. What I just did, I invited you to meet one of my characters that I created through deep inner work with my addictive tendency. And I actually turned it to bring me my power back, to give me the same exact feeling that eating chocolate. How many of you actually tasted that chocolate in your mouth? It is very much possible to get the same effect from any of your addictive tendencies without the substance. In my case, it was milk chocolate. I've been obsessed with milk chocolate throughout my life, and at some point, I've discovered this method of actually doing the inner work to understand what lies behind my addictive tendency and flip it back to my advantage. And now that you are in the right mood for today's story, we can begin. I received a couple questions throughout last week asking me, how the hell did you become the person that you are today? And what I mean by that is the mindset, the way you see the world, the way you react, the way you perceive everything that is happening around you and within you. And this is one of the most popular questions I've been getting throughout my life. A simple answer would be by continuously peeling off all the layers of my personality that were not me to begin with. And it did not happen overnight. It's a long journey of continuously getting out of your comfort zone and looking at all parts of yourself, even the ones you're ashamed of, and embracing all your shadow sides, going beyond your fear. There is always a new beautiful discovery on the other side of the fear. That process actively started when I ended up moving to America. My ticket out of where I was me getting accepted to a master's program in PR and communications in Boston, Massachusetts. And that's how I ended up moving to the United States. As soon as I moved to Boston, within the first month, a friend of a friend brought me to a Bikram yoga class. And that's how I started doing yoga. For those of you that don't know, Bikram yoga is a heated yoga practice. It is hot as hell, usually very packed, and each class is identical. You perform a set of 26 postures every single class. So it's very predictable, structured, great workout, but spiritual, not so much. But that's how I got into yoga. And while Bikram yoga gave me a great mind-body connection, what it definitely lacked was the spiritual aspect. And as I started craving for more of that, in a year and a half, I ended up switching to Vinyasa flow, which I continued doing for a long time. Since I moved to US, I've been searching for my kind of people. It was extremely hard for me to find my community of people that will resonate with me, people that will share similar interests. And it took me a year and a half to find the right crowd. In January of 2014, a good friend of mine told me, listen, there is someone I want you to meet. You absolutely have to come to her house. And I said, sure, let's do it. He brought me to her house outside of the city. And the moment I walked in, it felt like a fairy tale. The house was decorated with different spiritual elements. There were a lot of beautiful wind chimes outside. That's how I ended up meeting my first spiritual teacher. She was a Kundalini yoga teacher and a hostess of New Moon Women's Circles. Those two things became essential elements of my spiritual practice for quite a long time. I started coming to her Kundalini yoga classes once a week, and every single new moon, which happens once a month, I would be in her house at the New Moon Circle. Kundalini yoga is very different from any other kind of yoga that you might have done. It is not so much about the physical strength. It's more about mental strength and awakening that life energy that lives at the base of your spine. Kundalini yoga includes a lot of meditation practices, and that was my introduction to the world of meditation. Once I started practicing Kundalini yoga on a regular basis, things really started shifting in my head, in my body. I started becoming more aware of how my thoughts and my mood were affecting the way my day would go. I noticed when I meditated on a regular basis, good things were happening in my life. Unexpected surprises, gifts, fortunate turns of events. As for the new moon circles, those were essential elements of my spiritual growth for a few reasons. I became more aware of the lunar cycle and how it aligns with women's cycle. The moon cycle is 28 days, very similar to our menstrual cycle, and how different times of the month hold different energies. For example, on the new moon, it's a great time to set up intentions and your goals for the month ahead. And from new moon until full moon, which takes 2 weeks, that's the time to act on your ideas. It's a go, 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 green light, make it happen. On a full moon, we harvest the results of the intentions that we set. Usually some illuminations in certain areas of your life happen around the full moon. People tend to be more emotional and aggressive around the full moon. And after the full moon, the moon starts getting smaller, and that's the time for us to start slowing down and rest more until we get to the new moon again. So understanding this cycle really helped me to align my daily life better to take advantage of those energies, because it's so much easier to have your sailboat go with the wind, not against it. And the second element that new moon circles brought into my life was the sense of community, the sense of this sisterhood, because getting together with like-minded women is truly magical. It's the support that every single one of us needs, whether we are aware or not. Sisterhood is a must for the new world. Getting together with like-minded women and receiving that love and support in a gentle, kind way is priceless. When women truly cheer each other instead of competing and comparing themselves. That's a game changer, and we all need it more than ever. So I'm extremely grateful that I've learned that lesson early on in my spiritual journey, and I always knew that one of my goals in my future would be to create a very powerful community of women that are here to become the best versions of themselves and to cheer up their girlfriends in the process. That same year, a few other things happened that played a major role in my spiritual awakening and me beginning this path. In the summer of 2014, I was introduced to psilocybin, aka magic mushrooms, a beautiful plant medicine that, if used in the right setting with the right intention and the right guide, can truly change your life. Disclaimer, I'm not encouraging anyone to play around with psilocybin. I'm just sharing my personal experience here and how it helped me understand the world better. I would say that from all the plant medicines that I experienced over the past 10 years, that was probably the one that changed me the most, the one that helped me see beyond the physical, understand that everything around me is energy, that I am energy, and that everything is connected, and that separation is an illusion. Later that year, I went to my first Burning Man, which was also a life-changing experience when you end up at Burning Man at the age of 23. And what inspired me the most about Burning Man was understanding that people are capable of so much when there is a desire. You can even create a huge city in the middle of the desert and build this beautiful infrastructure and this community for a week and have this utopia where everyone contributes to the community and where everyone brings their gift to share with others, where it's all about the exchange and collaboration. I only ended up going to Burning Man 3 times in 2014, 15, and 16. I haven't been back. I've heard that Burning Man changed a lot and it became more commercial. I cannot say anything. I haven't been there, but the 3 years that I had the pleasure of experiencing that, I really, really enjoyed it, and it definitely played a big role in my consciousness expanding and me understanding the scale of possibilities. Possibilities are limitless. It's up to you to decide what to do with your resources. It's up to you to decide how you want to spend your life. Your limit is only here in your head. And if there is a certain fear stopping you from acting on your dreams, just know that behind that fear, there is a beautiful new beginning for you. And if you're brave enough to cross that line, you will be rewarded so much. In 2017, 2 other important things happened. After having continuous health issues that traditional doctors couldn't explain or heal, I've made one of the most important decisions in my life. I decided to become a student in Terapia School of Transformation, where I studied for 1 year to become a transformational coach. Up to this day, I see that as a major investment in myself, my relationship with myself, and my relationship with the rest of the world. And now I'm happy to be helping others. Yes, this is the school of magic that I referred to in one of the previous episodes. This is what the school's founder is saying about their methods. Our teaching approach emphasizes creative and experimental methods, drawing insights from ancient spiritual and shamanic practices and harmonizing them with intellectual analysis. I've learned the methods of process work, family constellation, and transformational life coaching techniques. And what I loved about it was the fact that we were able to dive really, really deep into ourselves and to perform spiritual surgery in a way. I would say that this program really makes you your own spiritual surgeon that cuts yourself open and looks at all parts of your being through different angles, through all your traumas, through all your dreams, through all your relationships, everything, to understand yourself better, to heal yourself, and to learn how to help others do the same. We studied things like dreams, the ones that you see when you are asleep, and the body symptoms and how to work with them. Family constellation, a very interesting practice that helps you break ancestral patterns that are passed over to you from your parents, your grandparents, and through people in your lineage you might not even know about. Exploring your relationships, your childhood traumas, and how they have defined your life myth, the story that you continuously live through as an adult until you become aware of it, you flip the script and you gain your power back. And I'll be diving deeper into all these practices throughout this podcast because they really helped me understand myself so much better and heal a lot of things that I was not even aware of to begin with, but they were affecting me without me even realizing that. It was a truly transformational year of my life, and I'm extremely grateful for every single student from my group. We rocked it. Every time we had in-person group sessions, it would be mind-blowing, and we would go so deep and rediscover so much about ourselves that it would be so hard to go back to work, to the office the next day and pretend like none of that just happened and you still need to work with Excel spreadsheets and Google documents and stuff like that, which did not matter much at that moment. Therapy, School of Transformation, one love, forever in my heart. During that program, I realized that my mission in this life is to inspire other women to grow and to help them to get back to who they are and to their true identities. And I know that is also connected to movement and dancing because when women dance, energy flows effortlessly. I actually ended up creating my own blindfolded dance meditation practice back in 2021, which I will be bringing back to life for sure in this new chapter of mine. Same year that I was going through transformational coaching program, I sat with ayahuasca for the first time in my life. Since that time, I had about 16 ayahuasca ceremonies with different people in the US and in Peru. And I'm very grateful for everything that this intelligent medicine taught me. And I think I'm going to create a separate episode just about ayahuasca at some point. Right before the pandemic happened, I decided to put an end to my Boston chapter, go travel around the world, eventually moving to Los Angeles. As I was traveling throughout South America, lockdown happened and I ended up getting stuck in Argentina for almost 3 months because the borders were shut down and all the flights were canceled. And due to heavy restrictions from Argentinian government, I got kicked out of the hotels or Airbnbs with no place to stay. And I found myself living in a meditation studio, which I transformed into a living space as the world was crashing down. How about that? What an interesting experience, right? And when I finally came back to the United States and moved to Los Angeles, I had absolutely no idea that I was about to embark on the most transformational journey yet, of getting out of my bubble and getting exposed to the world of darkness. I would call my 3 years in LA the dark night of the soul, because LA is not for the weak. It really shapes your character. For me, it brought out all the triggers possible, put me through a period of trials by water and fire, all designed to bring me closer to my true self. Without darkness, there is no light. To be able to see the stars, you need an absolutely dark sky. I reclaimed a huge part of my energy back, a huge part of my power back. I had to face situations where, for the first time in my life, I decided not to be a better person and to actually push back and stand my ground and be that big brother for myself who would kick those motherfuckers that don't treat me right. In the past, when someone would hurt me or mistreat me, I would always act as a better person and tell myself, oh, karma will get them. I don't need to do anything here. But in LA, I actually started standing up for myself. And I felt extremely energized doing that. Eternally grateful to LA. I know our relationship has ended, but I will never forget you. You were a special one. And now I'm here, recording this podcast for you guys, expanding the reach of my experience and knowledge and my energy, because it can help many. And I want you to take advantage of it. I'm walking my purpose. I'm walking my mission. And I'm continuously healing myself throughout this journey as well. Trust me, I have so many triggers coming up as I'm recording this every week. Every time I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, shutting off my fear, and committing to what I believe in. Wrapping up this background of who I am, I want to say that spirituality is definitely a hot topic these days. And there are so many coaches and gurus and teachers and so much information available on the internet, courses, books, podcasts. And it's very easy to get lost in this ocean of information. So how do you really filter that? How do you understand what's right and wrong? The answer is simple. If it's resonating with you, it is for you. And if it doesn't, it's not. And while it's important to find the right guide for yourself throughout this transformational journey, it is also important to remember that in the end of the day, you have all the answers that you need within you. And your truth might be very different from someone else's. In my opinion, the right guide will create a safe space and environment for you to get closer to yourself and to hearing your own voice within, to help you rebuild that connection with yourself, that access to inner wisdom that you disconnected from just because you simply forgot about it. And that is my goal. of this podcast. I want to help you build your own spiritual intelligence to determine what is right for you and what is wrong. Stop looking for a magic pill. It doesn't exist. The only way through it is to take responsibility for your life and understand the consequences of your thoughts and your actions. To tap into your intuition, to that gut feeling within you that always tells you the truth. That first reaction when you sense something, it's usually right. And later, your mind steps in and starts overanalyzing and finding logical explanations and trying to convince yourself otherwise. But that initial feeling is the right one. I want us to start using common sense again. Yes, there are certain rules in the world because rules help us control the chaos and organize the society. But at the same time, those rules need to be aligned with humans' best interests. So start questioning, why am I following this rule? What does it really mean? Does it make sense? Am I doing it because I was told to continue doing this and I don't even question that? If you develop your inner intelligence to be able to function on your own and be an observer of everything that is going on in your life and the observer of yourself, you will have such a fulfilling life because you will be taking on the power of the creator of your life, of the one who does it because wants to do it, not because someone else told you. I guarantee there is a lot of inner wisdom in each and every single one of you. And if you're listening to me and thinking that, no, she's not talking about me, that's an exception, I'm going to tell you specifically, it's not. You just have forgotten. Coming back to this question of how I became the way I am right now, I peeled off those layers that were not mine, that were preventing me from hearing the voice within, from my intuition, from my soul. Some people call it getting out of the matrix. Maybe. I call it becoming conscious, being present in every single moment, not living in the past, because past doesn't exist. It's a history. And not living in the future, because future is unpredictable. There are so many potential scenarios that can happen. And when you're living in the future, you're missing out on the present moment. And you're most likely experiencing anxiety about a certain event that might or might not happen. So why don't you deal with it later, in that moment, when it either happens or it doesn't? And why don't you enjoy what you have right now instead of worrying about the future? We waste enormous amounts of energy worrying about the things that might not even happen by focusing our attention on a certain point in the future. And while your mind is concentrated on that future, there is magic happening around you, but you're refusing to see it because your attention is somewhere else. Start coming back to the present, because that's the only thing that is real. That's the only way to live the life to its fullest. Raise your hand who wants to do that. It might take some practice. It's not an easy process. But with every single step that you take, baby steps, tiny steps, but they get you closer to that mindset where instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is it teaching me? What is the lesson here? Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention so I can learn, heal, and move on so it never happens again. Develop trust in yourself. How can you trust anyone else on this planet if you still don't trust yourself. You have your best interests at heart. You are your most important relationship in this life. That person you cannot break up with. You're stuck with him or her forever. Until the day you die. There is a lot to process. And hopefully you understand where I'm coming from a little better now. And I'm excited to continue diving into different topics that will bring awareness to you on this healing path. I'm proud of you for consistently coming back for inspiration to become the best version of yourself. Go have some fun. You deserve it. I'll see you next week.